All right, peace, brothers and sisters. So, as you see, the title of this video is called The Untouchable David, aka the Ark of the Covenant. So, if you know anything about David, David was a man of war. He went out to war, and one of the greatest things about David was never harmed. David was never injured. All the wars that David fought, he did not die by the hands of men. And that is something that we should study more. We should look into. When has it ever been that a man went out to war and did not even get a scratch, was not harmed whatsoever? There's a reason behind this. David was the manifestation of the Ark of the Covenant. See, the Ark of the Covenant, all the furniture that we read about during the time in the wilderness with the tabernacle, that furniture is only symbolic. It represents people. But you look at it as just furniture. But it's not just furniture. Okay? David's life is connected to the Ark of the Covenant. And we're going to look at this, brothers and sisters. In Psalms 105, if we go down to verse 15, matter of fact, we start at verse 14. It says, "He suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes." He's talking about the children of Israel. Then in verse 15, he says, saying, "Touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm." Okay? So in verse 15, he says, "Touch not my anointed." Well, what else could not be touched? The Ark of the Covenant. Okay? Let's look at this. In First Samuel 24, verse 5 and 6. Notice this story about David. It says, "And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him because he had cut off Saul's skirt." So David felt guilty that he cut off Saul's skirt, right? And why did he feel guilty? Because in verse 6, "And he said unto his men, The Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth my hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord." See, you could not touch the anointed of the Lord. They were untouchable. Okay? God had a promise unto his anointed. They wouldn't die. They wouldn't die by the hands of men. Okay? And we see that in the life of David. Think about that. David went through all those wars, but he was not touched. He was not injured. Okay? Now, let's look at 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 2. Notice what this says about the Ark of the Covenant. "And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Belial of Judah to bring up from thence the Ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims." Okay? It says that the Ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubim. If you know anything about the Ark, brothers and sisters, the Ark, it was almost like a treasure chest. And upon that treasure chest, you had the mercy seat. And to the left and the right of that mercy seat, you had the cherubims. Okay? So right here is letting us know that the Ark is called by the name of the Lord of hosts that dwelleth between the cherubims. Well, guess who came in the name of the Lord of hosts? David. Okay. 1 Samuel 17, verse 45. And it says, Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. So David's saying he comes in the name of the Lord of hosts. But we just read, what does it say here? 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 2. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Bela of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts that dwelleth between the cherubim. So right here, brothers and sisters, the ark is called by the name of the Lord of hosts. And David came in the name of the Lord of hosts. This is why David was the untouchable. You couldn't touch David. The same way you could not touch the ark of God. Okay? So a lot of that furniture that you see mentioned in the wilderness, the cherubims, the mercy seat, the ark, the table with the showbread, the altar, those are symbolic. All that furniture has meaning to it. Okay? So we have to understand that when you study, this is not just furniture that they was moving. Everything has a meaning to it, brothers and sisters. Okay? So David represents the Ark of the Covenant. He was the manifestation of the Ark of the Covenant. That's why that Ark was so meaningful to the story of David. He was the anointed, the true anointed, because Saul was the first anointed. But if you remember, the second was always greater than the first. Okay? If you go back to the story of Cain and Abel, Abel was greater than Cain. Okay? Abel was the second born. If you go back to Japheth and Shem, Shem was the second born. He was greater than Japheth. Go back to Jacob and Esau. Jacob was the second born. He was greater than Esau. If you look at Aaron and Moses, Aaron was the firstborn, but Moses was greater than Aaron. Okay, the second was always greater than the first. Okay, so the second anointed one, okay, in the kingdom time, in Jerusalem kingdom time, was David. So David was greater than Saul. Okay, and you could not touch the anointed the same way you could not touch the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so hopefully this is just a quick little study, brothers and sisters. Hopefully this opened up your eyes to the reality of what you're reading. Okay, and when we have the anointing, brothers and sisters, the true anointing, men will not be able to touch you. It's a sin. It's almost like a trespass. Okay, it's a trespass to touch someone who has that anointing. That anointing was so powerful that David could not be touched even in war, even in battle. Okay, it's like almost a shield. It's a shield of protection. Okay, and when we have that true anointing, brothers and sisters, that's what it will be like. No man will be able to touch us. That's why it says concerning the 144,000 to come not near them, who has the name of the Lord written in their foreheads. Okay, we will be untouchable. All the plagues, all the judgments that are destroying the earth will not come to us because we will be untouchable. Okay? Now, even the one you call Jesus Christ, he had the anointing, but in order for your Lord to die, he had to forsake the anointing. The anointing left him. That's why he said on the cross, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? You see, your Lord could not be touched. That's why the one you call Christ could not be killed until the anointing was taken away from him. Okay? And when that anointing was taken away from him, it was like your house being forsaken. It was like you taking off the roof of your house, or you leaving your door open. There had to be a way for your Lord to die. He couldn't just die, okay, because he was in the anointing. But once that anointing was taken away from him, then he was able to be touched and killed. And that's what happened to the one you call Jesus Christ. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you all. And till next time, peace.